Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of Horses and Biscuits. This thing that we've been doing now, the Horses and Biscuits teamed up with Rocking Horse Media to follow the production of Karen. And as we're recording this, it is the 9th of December. But I do believe this full episode is going to go out on Boxing Day. So hope you guys had a great Christmas. It's weird saying that now, a bit early, but hey-o. So to explain to you guys, I turned up at the auditions for Wesley, the villain for Karen. This Karen production we're following. I got to see the first actor audition, but unfortunately I had to do a night shift that night, so I had to go home. So halfway through the auditions. So the guest today is the person that won the role of Wesley, but didn't actually see his audition. But what we're going to do now is going to spend a bit of time getting to know him. We met Orla, we met Dean. So now I'd like to introduce you guys to Gavin. How's it going, Gavin?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, good. Really good. Doing what I do. I love it. Welcome to this crazy circus thing that is the Karen production, because it's grown and grown and grown into this huge thing now.
Yeah.
So welcome to things.
Yeah. It's nice to I keep learning as the weeks go on the various different elements of this coming together. So it's been really interesting seeing all the various bits and pieces since it started. So.
During just before the Wesley auditions, we actually did a podcast. We recorded a few bits, and it was very nice to see. Actually, we were talking about how networking and connections and relationships have been made along the way, and what was already quite a good chunk of people working on this thing is now grown into this really nice, like you said, gathering, come together people.
Yeah.
Because you get a few creatives in a room. Whether they're actors, whether they're editors, whether they're producers, directors, in a room together, and just talk. Something special's got to come out of that, right?
Yeah.
That's really exciting. So, introduce yourself about who you are, where you come from. Obviously, you got a nice accent there, down southern accent. Is that where you're from?
Yeah, I was born in. I currently live in Farnborough. I was born in. I grew up in Fleet, and. All my family are from Glasgow, actually, so I'm the sort of black sheep of the family. I was born down here, but all my heritage is in Scotland. But I started. I currently work as an A&R consultant in the music industry, and I've worked in the music industry for a little while now, probably 20 odd years.
Interesting.
And I lived in London for. Similar 20 to 22 years, and I moved out to Farnborough with my wife and children at the end of sort of 2018. Just because I don't know if you're aware of how much it costs to buy a house in London. It's not possible. So we took a little detour out, and I'm based in Farnborough now, and it's close to the train station. We can get a train into London in no time, so it works.
I do often look at the prices for housing and think. Sometimes I'm like, let's just appreciate what it's like to be up north. Like, let's look at prices for things. Do you know what? Actually, it's not too bad living in Shropshire. Might just stay here. Actually,
it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I think even if you were to win the lottery, it'd still be expensive, wouldn't it? But so based down in Farnborough. As I said, I'm married. I've got 3 children. My oldest son, Rory's 13. My daughter, who's 4, and Frank, who's 11 months. He's 1 on Saturday this weekend. So yeah,
keeping you up at nights. I remember them days.
Yes, yeah. We've been through a few different sort of routines. Once we thought it was all sorted and he was sleeping through, it changed, and then it changed again, and now it's into something else. And yeah, sadly, it's not a sort of. I mean, my daughter wasn't like that. She sort of slept through straight away. So you think, oh, great.
There's always one kid, isn't there? There's always that one.
So yeah, that's and this week particularly has been testing, because they've both been poorly and had been sent home from sort of nursery. So that requires a PCR test, and we've been sitting indoors waiting for that, and got Frank's birthday thing coming. When you just think to yourself. You just want to get on with stuff, and you can't.
Just a normal week would be great, Yeah, I remember that. When my kid, when Timmy, he's 6 now, but when he was obviously baby, breastfeeding is amazing. It's one of the most amazing wonders of the life of the world of and I love that.
It
But
really is. Yeah,
but as a guy, all you can do is be like in the middle of the night, there, babe, you got this. Tap on the shoulder, crack on, great. See it, a bit of moral support because it's not easy.
It's when the addition of bottles come in. That's when you find yourself getting involved.
My kid was awkward, still is. I knew he was going to be an awkward bugger when he was like, "No, I'm not having a bottle." Bottle? Nah, you're all right. No, we can't get him to eat anything. So yeah, music industry. Where does that start for you then? And what is it that you work with the music industry?
So I moved up to London in when I was sort of 18, 19, and I started working with a record company back then called Newphonic, and I started off as a sort of office junior, teas, coffees, answering the door, answering the phone, getting lunches and things, and mailing out
Jonathan
records.
Ross role.
Yeah, and kind of just stuck in with it, and I've worked at many different labels and with lots of different artists. I currently now work at Universal, where I work in what's known as catalog. So I work with all the labels underneath Universal. So you've got Island, EMI, Polydor, and as a department, we work with all the artists and their catalog to rejuvenate box sets and keep the streaming going, whether there's anniversaries or unreleased demos that's been found and lost, and work with a huge broad range of artists, and I've kind of been doing that for a little while now.
Wow, it sounds like a really daunting thing. It's just like you got these artists rocking around, whilst you're working. Was there a situation where you first started working and you kind of got a little bit starstruck and like, what? I'm working with this. Who now? What?
Yeah, because sometimes, but I mean, often you don't necessarily meet a lot of the artists. A lot of it's done via management, but I suppose the best tale I've probably got was I worked with John Lydon and I worked with the Sex Pistols, and
oh wow,
I did the London Marathon in 2017, and he sponsored me.
Oh, that's
because, lovely. I'm trying to remember. Oh, this sounds awful now. I can't even remember the charity.
That's right. This happens on a podcast. You'd be surprised how many times I'm like, so what's your wife's name? Or give me all your children's date of births right away. Gone.
Anyway, he suffered from it when he was younger, and and he ended up sponsoring me, which I thought was very good of him, But yeah, there's a whole mixture of artists that we work with, and as I say, you don't necessarily meet them all. A lot of it's done via management, but there's a whole resurgence with physical vinyl at the moment. So it's a tough time trying to get vinyl out the door.
It's an expensive thing to to collect. I mean, my wife bought me a vinyl player because I really want to start getting vinyl, because I thought it'd be cool and in with it. And so like I love Weasel, right? Weasel, one of my favorite bands of all time. And I remember I walked into a vinyl shop and I was like, oh, they got like loads of Weezer, but it's like £30 per vinyl, and I was like, wow. So I counted it up and I think I needed about £250 just to get the whole Weezer collection. I was like, wow, that's no,
it is expensive, yeah. But there's a market for it, and I think given the current climate of the pandemic has only added to the issues of vinyl manufacturing, and I mean it's great that there's obviously the demand out there for it. It's just it can be extremely challenging when you're trying to put together a release schedule or a release plan for an artist for a couple of years when it could take almost a year to put a piece of vinyl out. That's how rammed it is at the moment.
Well, I host a weekly radio show called Naughty Talk. It's all about Naughty's music, right? I like to play Naughty's music,
Yeah.
and I I feel like the Naughties moved so quickly. They would literally jump from one artist to the other, to the other, to the other. And
Yeah.
I think it's only sort of like now we're looking back and we're going, actually, they weren't Feeder. Were actually pretty influential, amazing. Oh, Stereophonics. Actually, do you know what they deserved their place in a shrine somewhere? Do you know what I mean? It moved so quickly. I feel like
Yeah.
now we get a chance to look back. It's kind of like, this is just my experience working with what I do with the radio. Is that people are starting to really appreciate actually the things that we breezed past. I remember I dug up an old song by a band called A, and it's called Nothing, and I was just like, I remember very, very quickly they had Chris Moyles took it to America, sort of physically took it around radio stations with this tour thing. It was amazing, and for a very brief moment that song was kind of everywhere, then it was gone. And then when I dug it up, it did some weird stuff to my body. I was like, oh, I remember that. It's nice to look back now and again.
It is. I mean, it does move very quickly. I mean, one of the things I enjoy about working with catalog is you there's no pressure to break that artist or that music.
Yeah.
Whereas I think trying to break a new act these days is really tough.
A lot of noise out there. A lot of noise.
And I think it's obviously it's a different landscape now as it was with some of the bands I'm working with. But I've just remembered it was Meningitis Research was who. And I'm deeply sorry for forgetting that. But yeah, I raised a lot of money for them when I ran, and Mr. Lydon very kindly sponsored me, and his note said, "Look, great cause. If anyone should know, I do, and that's something he suffered with." But yeah, so I'm pleased I remembered that, because that looks awful if I don't remember.
What we'll do is, as recompenses, guys, if you want to do something nice for, if you're running a marathon, got an event, go to Meningitis Research, go to their website now, have a look and support them. That's what we can do. Right. Okay. So we have an obligation to sort of quiz you on your current role that you've landed for Karen. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a series of like 5 questions, and then I'm going to, I'll leave this in, obviously, but I will cut this and snip it. And we've got a live show. This is going to absolutely wreck people's brain. But we've got a live show this Sunday that I will put these little snippets into, which this episode will go out before this one is released. So what we'll do is, I've got 5 questions for you. Take as long as you want to answer these. And like I said, I'll snip them up and put them into the episode we've got coming up. Okay. Number 1. How do you think you'll approach the role of a villain?
So, with regards to Wesley, if you like, I think it was from reading through the script that I was sent for the audition, it was clear you could tell from how he was as a character that who and what he was about. And what I liked, I mean, this isn't going to sound great. I kind of like not very nice roles and not very nice people. And when I read his bit, I just thought, oh, I love this. I love him because I hate him. He's a real creep. And in answer to your question, I think it's because for me, you're able to put yourself into a sort of area that isn't you by day. And I don't like to think I'd be a villain by day, but I think it's being able to just read through with Wesley, read through what was there and how he was as a character, and just take that on board, and I think I think I said to Gareth and Luke we had a call a week after the audition that there were certain elements of him as a character that I've worked with people like that, and that that kind of helps you sort of bring those things in. And you've all, I don't know about you, but I've worked with people that speak to people like that or behave like that. And
I think we all have from one time or another.
Yeah. And I think that really helps. But, yeah, that's actually a difficult question. That's a really difficult question.
Yeah, I mean, like some people
I would approach each villain differently, I guess, depending on what it was in front and to what extreme they, what it was they were doing, I guess.
I mean, you look at like the roles of, like, for example, like the Joker. We've had so many different renditions of like the Joker.
Yeah.
We've had the screaming maniac with Jack Nicholson. He was just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Then we had the thinker, the Heath Ledger. The kind of psychological thing.
Yeah.
And then we had Jared Leto, which is the kind of a little bit of amalgamation of everything. But like, you think of a role like Wesley, and you feel like, do you become because I know there is a script and there is a direction that Gareth wants, but you think of a character like Wesley, you can throw in your own personality into that. You can be the domineering, like, shiny Rolex, like, what are you looking at, darling, kind of guy, or you can be really sinister, like the fox, like the weasel that they're trying to portray. So that's what I mean by sort of approach. Are you gonna go out there and be like, no, I want it on time, kind of really like throw yourself in there, or you're gonna like kind of like really try and he swore to mess with people's heads.
I think Wesley's a bit cold. He's a bit. I think he's more. I don't think he's necessarily a sort of loud in your face kind of character. I think he's a bit more sinister, and he's a bit. I think he could probably look
devious.
At you. And he could look at you in a particular way, and you'd know that you'd done something wrong. And what I also liked about him as a character was that I think he's primarily just sort of admin support, but he bowls around that care home as if he's the man, Yeah. And I think your point there about the Jokers is, Jack Nicholson was brilliant, and then Heath Ledger obviously gave something else, and you were like, whoa, And then having seen the recent Joker.
And Jared Leto.
and it was that the recent one, is it Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh yes, that one as well. Yes,
yeah.
The vulnerable,
That one took it to another completely different place, because that was about someone almost mentally breaking down and the system saying no to you because he was seeing someone every week and whatever, and that stops and the system just sort of leaves you, and that took the Joker into a whole different area, and
then you throw Mark Hamill. And then you throw Mark Hamill into the mix, and then you've got another one as well, because he's like he's literally chaotic. That laugh from Mark Hamill with the animated stuff. Just,
I think Wes is not necessarily I think he could be a domineering person in the room, and I think he's definitely one to speak down to you.
Yeah,
and he's intimidating, but I don't think he's necessarily a sort of loud in your face kind of guy.
I get like a this is going to sound like a weird pull, but I get like a House vibe to him. If you've ever watched House, the TV show, you would just look at someone and be like, well, you're an idiot then, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think he obviously feels that, because his the care home's in the family, that, it's his right to be a bit higher up the tree. Which isn't the case, but I think I'm trying to think of the right word for it. It's almost patronizing, condescending. I think just by looking at you, he'll tell you what he's saying.
Well, that leads us up to question 2, actually, very nicely. Is there a TV, movie, or audio sort of baddie that's inspired you for this role, particular?
Ooh. It's one of those again where you're like, I'm on the spot.
I should have got some great music. Do
the countdown timer.
Oh yeah, an old wooden clock.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I've got to let you know that I don't usually use a question format. My everything I ever make is usually organic and kind of like, yo, let's have a conversation.
Okay. I'm trying to think what I was referring to. There's been so. Yeah, I'm struggling with that.
We can circle back around if you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll put a pin on that one. Literally, drawn a pin. Right, there we go. Right, the next question is, what did you make of the chemistry of the cast and crew, and will you be looking forward to working with them?
Yeah, well, my first surprise was that there was that many people in the room, and second surprise was that those people facing me, 4 of which or 3 of which were in this. And going back to my call with Gareth and Luke, when I arrived, I parked the car and I turned up and I pressed the buzzer and no one answered, and I thought, oh no. But I didn't realise, I didn't know the door was open.
That happened to me as well. I got to say,
right,
a couple of weeks
good.
before.
I'm not the only one. And then someone came down the stairs, said, oh yeah, it's upstairs. So, and I sat down and I waited, and they said, oh, we're just finishing up another audition. I said, yeah, fine. And I sat down, and then I heard this round of applause and thought, what? I mean, at most I was thinking 3 people, but so I was quite surprised when we did the 3 auditions that.
Can you feed off that though? Can you feed off a crowd of people? Like, does it egg you on in the performance?
I don't know if it I think for me it was kind of okay. Well, you've got no time to think about it. They're now getting into position, and these are your fellow actors, actresses, and characters for this, and you just get on with it. I mean, my one comment at the end of it was that obviously having not realised that they were going to be there and not being completely off book, the eye contact for me, I would have been better on the day. Obviously, when you're doing it, you're looking at someone. For then, it was a bit like, oh, I didn't know that person was going to be there and this person was going to be there. And but I thought it was. I thought the chemistry was good, and I think there's a particular scene with Orla, which was in one of the audition scenes, which I think is going to be great because that. In fact, I think a lot of the scenes that Wesley has with Orla is going to be great because again he's being condescending to her. But there's a particular scene that we auditioned that that really shows how sinister he is and how calculated he is, and I think it worked. It really worked, and I'm really looking forward to us getting in a room in a more formal setting and doing that.
We can't, as the Biscuit, we're following you guys with the production. I can't wait to see that. I can't wait to see the bonds that are going to be made with you guys, cast and crew.
Because traditionally, you audition for something, and if you get the part, and you turn up, you might occasionally have a table read or 2-3 table reads leading up to the day of recording. But more often than not, you roll up and there's your on-screen wife or daughter or whatever it might be, and that's the first time you've met them. And sometimes you've got as little as 20 minutes to gel with that person before you're in front of the camera. So to actually meet your other fellow actors and actresses on the day was nice. It was surprising because I thought, oh Christ, right. I thought everyone was just here to watch, but no, I'm really looking forward to that.
Nice,
and it was kind of difficult to take all of it in as well because it was there was an element of who are all these people?
I know, yeah. I mean, I was there for the first one, and because we all like to introduce ourselves individually as you go around the room, and that took so much time. That's why everything went late. It's like, hello, I'm this. Hello, I'm this sort of. Hello, this is hi, I'm from the Biscuit. Then we get on with it. And
I think there was 2 rounds of questioning. So once it'd gone round the room, it went back again, and I just thought, oh God, we haven't even done the auditions yet.
And we'll get back to that in a second. I do want to sort of pin on that. That's 2 pins we've got now. All right, question 4. What was the best part of the audition for you?
Definitely the second audition out of the 3.
The second scene that you did.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how much I can I can say about it.
Yeah,
But
without sort of any spoilers, but you really felt that you had a bit of swagger with that.
Yeah, it was a particular moment, and the tables had turned, and I was able, knowing what the scene was about and how he was, and this was him to then sit back and be like, okay, right, and I felt for me it was my strongest part of the audition, and I was really comfortable doing it, and again he was being he was being really nasty, and but trying to and just domineering, and yet at the end of it, when I got feedback from the room as to each of the scenes, I think the room was split actually, because I felt that scene 3 wasn't my strongest, whereas some people thought it was, and some people thought it was 2. But for in answer to your question, definitely the second scene that was a moment for me, because it was this is Wesley's big moment of.
The other question I've got here is, what do you think of Wesley as a person? Could you get on with him in real life?
What do I think of him as a person? I think he is the way he is because of things that have happened to him when he was growing up, and I suppose the best form of defense is attack, and I think that's very much what he's about. But I think there's a glimmer of he's actually there is a nice person in there for a nanosecond, but I think he strives to be appreciated, and he wants to do well, but he wants people to know that he's doing well, and I think he's frustrated in being the level that he's at, which is why he's this sort of character that thinks he's running the show, because that's what he wants to be doing, but he's not. But I think he wants all the plaudits of that. Would I get on with him as a person? Yeah, probably. But that's that's because I'm not working with him, perhaps, you know.
I feel like with people like Wesley, it's good to keep people like that at arm's length. Do you know what I mean? Because if you make an enemy of a guy like Wesley,
yeah,
he's going to make your life hard. So you've kind of got to sort of keep the peace a little bit. Oh, did you watch the match on Saturday? Oh, yeah, they were awful, weren't they? Yeah. Right, catch you later. See you later.
Yeah.
Them kind of conversations you have in the corridor passing, you know? It's all fake, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when, you know, you've got a 1-year-old kid, you know, when you know, you're in a workplace and the wife said to the kid, oh, how was everything? Oh, it was great. Yes, fine, thank you. You know, next, but how was everything? You answer those same questions over and over again, don't you? Yeah. It's one of those weird situations. I think Wesley sort of fits into that kind of like, you have those conversations because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense.
I just think he's cold and he's quite bitter, but I think that's because it's something that's affected him when he was growing up, and you know, perhaps that's how he was treated, so therefore that's how he treats other people. But like I said, best form of defense is attack, perhaps. Yeah,
for him, yeah. Do you think we can revisit that question from earlier? Is there a bad TV or movie baddie that inspired you for this role? Is there something that you were channeling while you're doing your audition?
Yeah, I do have an. I'm trying to think.
But is there somebody that comes to mind right now when you think of baddies, or you know, somebody a villain that you think, oh, I'd love to play that one day? Maybe you've, you know, thought, this is my time to sort of channel a bit of that?
Sorry, there's someone at the door with a package. Do you mind? Can I just snip and get that? Yeah.
So, any villain that may have inspired you for this role, or anything in real? I mean, like, I'm a huge Batman fan, right? I've got sort of Funko Pops and Batman stuff everywhere, so I do love the Joker as a role, but I hate him at the same time as well. There's a thing that happened recently with the whole Joker Harley Quinn thing, where lots of young girls were kind of like, "Oh yeah, I'd love a relationship like Harley Quinn and Joker." I was like, "No, you don't. You really do not." It's not a good role model for that.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to. It's one of those you know, when you're sort of stumped.
Maybe there's a somebody you've worked for in the past that you've kind of like, oh yeah, oh, he's the perfect go-to for this. You know,
there were elements of that, but sorry, Al, I'm trying to jog my brain here.
Oh, this makes for great content. I mean, like, I could play some fast forward.
Yeah. Oh God.
Do you know what? Normally I'd move on, but I feel like I need to press you for this because I feel like the answer is just going to be so like, wow.
The thing is, there's so many. There are so many. I just can't think of one or two right now.
It's a difficult one.
One particular villain. His name escapes me. He's played by Tom Hardy, and he plays almost a Jewish gangster in.
In Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
I get that.
And that he is the epitome of someone that you think you can trust, but even by trusting him, he's going to do you over anyway. And I mean, hopefully everyone's seen the show by now, and that's exactly what he does do.
I'm going to find the character's name now so people can sort of relate. I know the character you're on about now. Just find his name. It's one of those things. IMDb is ridiculous now. There's just so much information that comes up on the screen. So you got where's Tom Hardy? Where is he? Tom Hardy. Alfie Solomon.
That's it. Yeah.
Alfie Solomon. Yeah. That's a good pull, actually. I feel like, because he's not, like you said, he's not in your face. Like, he's one of those that'll sidle up to you and be like, "Are you sure you want to say that? Are you sure that's the word what you want to say to me?" You know.
And I think Mr. Shelby trusts him, and we can all see that he's probably not a man to be trusted, and does. And obviously, it doesn't work out. But I think, you know, there's a certain element of in that. I guess there's an element of him as a villain. He's striving to do everything he can to make himself okay, and I think certainly Wesley's got that in him. Whereas he'll smile and be yeah, but behind closed doors, it's like, I'm going to crush that receptionist. She's not going to be working here for long. I'm going to make, you know, oh hi Karen, you know, I'm going to get rid of Karen, you know. And there's this to face, there's a bit of, oh yeah, he's fine, and then behind closed doors, it's like, no, he's plotting.
It's one of those guys you really want to trust, but you know you can't. Yeah, I get it. And I did make a note actually about I wrote being a villain, because one of your first answers to the questions was it's almost like being like given a license to be someone you're not allowed to be in real life. And like I've done this. I mean, I work at Shrewsbury Prison, which is a tourist attraction place now, and I get to. I've been acting there for a few years now, so I've done Bad Santa and a psychopathic butcher, and one of the roles I play at the moment is very much a villain and a bad person. And there's nothing better than walking up to someone and absolutely just ruining them with some horrible comment, and then just walking off and leaving them to deal with that. Yeah, you have that. See you later. Because I know I can't be like that in real life, and it's all an act. It's really liberating being able to do that. I don't know. It's kind of, you have these repressed emotions and things that you kind of stop yourself from doing all your life, you know. It's kind of nice.
And he is, I mean, to a certain extent, he's a bully, you know, and he's going to get what he wants, and he's going to say what he feels, and he's going to, you know, he's always. I think one of his behavioural traits is he's always got to have the last word. Nice. And we've all again met and worked with people. In fact, we've got children, and children tend to always want to have the last word. But where does that come from? Well, it must come from the parents. But you know, I remember when I grew up, I was probably I knew I was my mum always says to me, yeah, you would always want to have the last word, you know. and Wesley is that person, you know. Even when he's being put in his place by Karen, he'll be making sure he gets his last word in, you know.
I love it, and I can't wait to see you in action properly, because obviously I missed the audition. I mean, I got a couple of pictures here, actually. That's a lie. It's a lie, Alex. I've got a couple of pictures here from your audition. There you are, with Ola and Steph there.
Yeah.
And there you are. So, yeah, well, actually, I meant to bring up the interview you did as Wesley. Is it hot seating? I think Dean called it. Is it hot seating? How was that for you? Answering questions, ad lib, as Wesley. Is that something you enjoyed, or was it difficult?
Yeah, it wasn't. I suppose the thing with that is this, you know, with it to a certain point, there's no wrong answer, if that makes sense, because it's, you know, but I think the majority of the questions were relevant to him as a character. I think there was one that asked me about, I think Gareth asked me who would I put in room 101.
Yeah.
And I think I might have said Jeremy Clarkson, but but I remember that throwing me off a bit. No, that wasn't that one. It was Gareth asked me who I aspired to be like. And I remember thinking, and I just said, well, no one.
Me.
Yeah. No, Wesley doesn't aspire to be anyone, you know. But I found it was, it was fine. But I remember thinking on the drive home that, I don't know if those answers were good enough, you know. But I think it's, again, there's no real right and wrong with it. Yeah. I suppose, you know, no one's that, you know, I don't know, but
sometimes it's the small details as well, isn't it? You know, in things like that, it's like, so like you said, like, who do you aspire to be? It's a little flick of the nose that, but the little facial details that might actually win them over, and you're like, oh, we could use that on the screen, or, you know, that's what I think that hot seating is. It gives you a chance to show a little bit of extra of what you can offer.
Yeah, and I think that was a chance to open, you know, for everyone's first port of call to see Wesley answer questions as Wesley, but without having done the audition yet. And it was, I suppose it was daunting thinking about it, because, you know, from here to Shrewsbury was a little bit of a drive, and I remember thinking, oh God, you know, what they're going to ask me, but at the back of my mind thinking it's fine, because you just be him as character and answer how he would answer. Yeah, but I do remember thinking, I don't know if it's good enough, but
obviously it was, because you got the role. Yeah. You got the role. You did a great job. Getting that call from the guys, you must have been elated to have won the role.
Yeah, I really was. I was driving home because I was quite surprised, because you know, Gareth said, look, we're going to let someone know tonight, and I thought, oh wow, you know, that's quick. And because I didn't think one of the scenes went very well for me, I remember going. I said this to Gareth. I went in the corner to get my papers and stuff, and it was a little bit like a job interview. Remember, you walk out of a job interview or an exam or something, and you think,
yeah, you always think I nailed that.
That one hasn't gone very well. And I remember picking up my paper, thinking, yeah, no, this isn't. And then I sat down, and there was all of this feedback from everyone in the room, which again I wasn't expecting, or because, you know, you look at that scenario and you think it would be thanks, next, you know, off you go, right? And then once I sort of had some feedback from the room, I got in the car and I thought, okay, well, what I think was bad or what I think didn't go very well, people in the room haven't seen that. And that's one thing I always remember learning was that the teacher said to me, look, things that you think you haven't delivered correctly or things that you think didn't go well, no one else can see that. So, and in that instance, it was kind of listening to the feedback was, oh, okay, right. So you didn't notice that and you didn't see that. And, and you beat yourself up a bit. And then I got in the car and thought, well, okay, there's perhaps another chance. But the other thing was that the guy after me, I think there was one or two after me, but the guy directly after me, they were having a good old chat at the beginning in the corridors. I was getting out my suit and they all knew each other. And I thought, yeah, no, it'll be going to the person that they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get the call, I was really, I was genuinely surprised, but, totally so elated and excited. And
that's the kind of refreshing thing about what the guys are doing with the audition process is I too have seen people that rocked up that they know, friends, I guess, that from before the auditions, and it's a genuinely fair audition process. Just they're mates and they go back, yes, doesn't mean they're going to get the role, which I thought is both cold but brilliant because that's kind of like fair,
and I had sort of mixed feelings, but it really was a genuine sort of elation. It was really exciting that, oh, okay, wow, that, obviously it was a bit of a journey to go there, but obviously completely worth it, and
well, you knocked it out of the park there, so well done, absolutely well done. And I can't wait to meet you properly. When you guys start filming, I'll be there. I'll turn up with some microphones. Like, how did that go? You're all right, doing the biscuit thing. But I think we'll get you on some more interviews as well, like this. These kind of work really well. Although I prefer to in-person interviews. But thank you very much for talking to me today. I think it's been really nice getting to know you.
No, thank you. I'm sorry there was a few laboured.
It's not.
In there.
It's when it comes to things like who inspires you as a villain, that's actually quite a deep question, really, when you think about it. Because you kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve a little bit.
Well, there's so many, but they're different. They're different villains in different ways. Some might be killers, some might be money launderers, some might be
politicians.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's so many different villains, but I suppose Alfie Solomon would be the one that
shocked me actually as a good sort of. That's really good. That's a really good sort of comparison
with Wesley, just because it's it's that. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, So,
what's next for you? I mean, obviously this Karen thing, but are you doing other auditions as well? Are you constantly on, into the ball looking for roles?
I've got. I've been fortunate enough to land another couple of short films next year. Again, not very nice character, but so I've got a couple of short films in the new year, and Karen the pilot, which as I said to you at the beginning of the call, the more I read about it and the more I see, it's genuinely exciting to get to work with it. And having had a long conversation with Gareth and Luke, and Gareth's obviously got a master plan for it, or the team have a master plan for it, should I say. And that's refreshing because it's they're making this pilot, but it's not just making the pilot. They want to put it somewhere and turn it into a series, and that's genuinely exciting. And just keep ploughing on and see what
a little bit here, a little bit there. Yeah. Are you trying to build a portfolio, I guess, so you can be like, here's what I've done.
Yeah,
put me in the MCU.
Yes, I've only really been. I only really started doing this a couple of years ago, and I started, just went out and did some auditions, started doing some small short films and things, and I've managed to get a good portfolio of different roles. I say different roles. Some are slightly more comedy and some are slightly more darker, but there's enough there now for me to ideally get that together and give it a punt about, and maybe we can.
You seem like you really get into your stride as the villain. I love that, because you play into your strengths, I guess. I mean, is that?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I did something for a short film in Manchester earlier this year, and it was this guy who'd murdered his wife, but he was trying to blame his neighbour, and it was this interrogation scene, and when I got that back, and you sort of, I mean, again, what I was saying before, the things, when I watch something back, I think, oh, no, but no one else sees that. That's just you. And I remember watching that one back and thinking, oh God, he's actually really convincing as he didn't do it. He didn't actually kill his wife, So yeah, there's a lot of different bits to put together, and hopefully we can sort of, go up
If there's somebody watching right now that may want to offer you some work, maybe we'll invite you for an audition, how do people get in touch with you? Have you got a social media page or
you know what? I'm sort of in the beginnings of all of that. I do have a Twitter account of maybe 10 followers or something. No, I'm sort of trying to get all that together, but best way to get hold of me would be my email, I guess. Do you want me to give you that?
Yeah, unless it's too personal. I mean, sometimes it's very handy to be like, oh yeah, so I've got this role. This is what I'm really good at. If you're listening to this podcast, here's my details. Get in touch. Maybe we can talk. A bit of this, a bit of that.
So yeah, so you could go to just find me on Twitter, and it's Mr. Gavin Fraser.
Okay.
Yeah,
brilliant. And there'll be future opportunities to share your bits as well later on. Gavin, thank you so much for chatting to me. And I want to also reach out to the guys at Rocking Horse for letting me sort of be a part of what you guys are doing, because I feel you as well on that, Gavin. It's very exciting to see all these things in motion, because it's not, even if like, God forbid, I mean, I feel like it's going to be, but even if like Karen doesn't become the success that we all want it to be, there's enough people in that room and enough knowledge and creativity and, aspiration to create something special. It's really nice to be in that room with those people. Yeah. So thank you. Really do appreciate that, Right, have you got any messages, anything you want to say to the guys that are listening, or to the Rocking Horse guys before we get out of here?
Well, just that, thank you for casting me as Wesley. And he'll be looking forward to getting stuck in next year for filming. And thank you for interviewing me today, Al. And I look forward to seeing more and hearing more, and getting down to it in the new year.
I can't wait to share this. So, like I said, this is going out on Boxing Day. So, I hope you guys had a great Christmas. It's to the new year and all that. This has been an amazing episode. Stay behind when I play the outro music. We'll have a chat before we get out of here. But there you go. There's my door as well going. Somebody's at that door. Thank you for chatting to me, Gavin. Thank you for watching, guys. And we'll catch you for the next episode of Horses and Biscuit. Peace out.